Good evening. This is Fred Blanchard, host for Adrenaline Motorsports. You're listening to Adrenaline Radio. Tell us a little bit about anything else new in regards to any other new people coming out with this nostalgia deal. I mean, new funny cars. That seems to be the popular vehicle at this time.
Well, let me say one thing about some more of the NHRA stuff. There's things changing now. John Force has also started building his cars in-house. He is going to be they're building 2 cars right now for the Tasca Ford guys, and Tasca Ford is going to be getting the Ford engines that were built by John Force and Ford. They're going to have the 500 Ford engines in them. I believe that what's happening here is you're going to see a 5-car team, individuals, but there'll probably be 5 or 6 or 7 Fords, and then there'll be 5 or 6 or 7 Chevys, and hopefully that'll help maybe bring the factories back when this recession gets over.
We're back with our guest, Steve Montrelli. He was talking about the various big teams that are building cars and building cars for other racers and building complete motors in behalf of Ford Motor Company and what have you. And Steve, go ahead and enlighten us a little bit about more of this. Very interesting stuff.
Well, it looks like because of the economy, what they're trying to do is they're trying to have the guys that have Ford Mustangs out there, basically the Mustang bodies. They just came out with a new 2010. This is an aftermarket body, all fiberglass. Actually, it's Kevlar, and they're made real light. They don't even weigh. They weigh 100 pounds bare, and then they put all the tin and everything inside the motor and all the inside the body, and put all the safety equipment in the car so that when a guy has a fire, supposedly he's not going to get burnt. But he's got all the good safety equipment, and they've changed the cars around so much today. It looks like that if something did happen now, that they would sustain the accident. They've come up with a bunch of new electronic shutoffs. They've had one on last year where it goes across what we call the blower burst panel, and it's electronic wire that goes across there, and if it should catch on fire, bang the blower, or knock the driver out, hit the guardrail, whatever, it automatically pulls the chutes out and shuts the motor off.
Was that devised by NHRA or by the racers themselves, or how did that come about, Steve?
Well, actually, it was basically devised by Ford Motor Company. It's kind of like the blue box. It's called the blue box is what it's called. Now what they've tried to do this year, they've tried to go a little bit further, and they did a little testing over the winter, and they made another shutoff that when, let's just say the driver was knocked out and the car for some reason went down to 400 feet, it will shut the engine off, it will shut everything down. Well, they were testing it, and at Pomona they had a couple of malfunctions. A parachute came out on the starting line, and they believe that was part of it. And they had another car that went down the other end that was on fire, and the motor didn't shut off, the parachutes didn't come out, nothing. So something there didn't work. So they've this race this weekend at Pomona, at Bakersfield, at Phoenix. They have implicated that you do not have to run it. They're going to still run the system they ran last year, the blue box, but not the one that shuts the whole car off. So that was one thing that they had on their.
So this is the second race for NHRA touring program. In other words, Phoenix, Arizona is the next stop off, and it's that soon, next week, right?
Well, that's this weekend.
Yeah, wow.
There's 23 races. Last year there was 24. Now it's 23. Normally they run Pomona like they did last weekend, and then there's 2 weeks in between. But what they're trying to do is, because of the economy, they're trying to make it run the 2 races back to back so that they don't have the motel rooms and all the expense of driving back and forth and all kinds of things. The other thing that has happened is the amount of cars that are coming to the racetrack. It's going to be very hard for there was only 17 or 18 funny cars at Pomona, and there is the same. I looked on the internet today before I came. There's 18 at Phoenix, and there's 17 funny cars.
How is the round money structured? Do they get paid round money? How does that work, Steve?
Well, the way I understand it, I'm not really into the pay. I do know that at most of the events, if you qualify in the top 16 cars, that's the field, you get $10,000 to qualify. Then if you win the first round, it's not like you get another 10,000. It might be another 4,000 or 5,000. And then when you go to the semifinal, it might be a third of that. And
how much fuel do they use? It must cost a lot of money to run 2 rounds with the type of fuel. What's it cost a barrel?
Well, I believe the barrel of fuel right now is about $9.50, maybe a little bit more than that, and they go through 2 drums of fuel per race.
Are you talking about $950 per barrel?
Yes.
That's interesting.
Might even be more.
What size barrel is it?
Well, I'm not sure. The NHRA barrels might be 40 gallons instead of the 55 that we were used to using.
Oh, boy.
Something that it was a big thing about it last year. I am not sure how big the barrels are. Like I say,
I think it had something to do with transportation, Steve.
Well, it had to do something to transportation, 9/11, and the whole deal. And then there was a couple. I guess there was a couple of companies that were fighting each other that wanted to be the major source of the fuel. So then they made it hard to get the fuel, and you had to sign your life away just to get your fuel to go racing, and you're supposed to be giving the drums back to NHRA or the fuel company at each race, and then they're supposed to bring it to the next race and give it to you, which is, that's a lot of work for these guys.
Wow.
So I don't know if that's still in effect. I know that the Nostalgia Funny Car guys, what we've done is Don Schumacher, which owns the Army car, and 3-4 fuel funny cars and motorcycles and everything. He's got more cars in the field than anybody. He has been racing, all the way back in the 70s. I used to be his crew chief, and what he's done is he's doing the same thing he did then. He's gone to I guess China, Japan, wherever it is.
Is that where our fuel's coming from now, Steve?
Well, that's where his fuel's coming from, and it's brought right here to the L.A. port. And the driver that used to drive from there, Dale Poley, is a salesperson that sells it to all the Nostalgia Funny Car people. So he will, when the race is a couple weeks from now, he will drive his truck and trailer up and back to Bakersfield probably about 5 times just to get the fuel up there so that he can supply. And actually, he's probably going to have to even go further this time because it was only a 16-car, 32 total cars of fuel. Now it's going to be they're probably going to be 90 or 100 of them there. So he's going to have to bring a lot more fuel.
Are you talking about funny cars?
Well, there's going to be 45 funny cars there.
This is Bakersfield. Now you're talking about the March meet?
Right, this is the March meet.
This is the March meet that goes all the way back into the 50s?
Yes.
This is the same meet, right?
Yes, and they're going to run 32 fuel funny cars. They're going to run 32, qualify 32. The way I think they're going to do it is they're going to run the 32 Saturday night, and then the 16 will come back on Sunday.
Well, you're talking about the way they used to run years ago when you had to show up on Thursday night just to get a parking place.
Well, they're going to be there on Tuesday.
Oh, boy.
And,
well, folks, if you want to see a race, there's where you want to go. Bakersfield, California, the March meet up in beautiful downtown Bakersfield.